to start the stream. Yes. Let me bring this closer to me. We are starting the stream now. Let's read. Woohoo. Bing bong. Bing bong. Umineko no Naku koi wa. Okay, whatever. Alright, reading time. Let's start. Hideyoshi's claim that advertising double the taste was apparently right. After being chased out to the guest house, the kids and Nanjo had gathered in the cousin's room and were eating the cake that Kumasawa had bought for dessert. It was both wonderful and high class, topped with lavish amounts of cream, and decorated deliciously with fruits. But delicious as if it didn't taste quite as good as for some reason. Now, if you ask me, I don't like fruit cakes. Blech. I only like chocolate cake because I'm very picky. Sorry! And I hate cream. God, cream is a crime on cake. Cake should never have cream. Controversial take. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. What did we learn in Umineko? Whatever. Haha, without Gona selling it, it isn't nearly as good. And if we ask Kumasawa to sell it, she'd just say it's made of mackerel.
Really? You can make cake from mackerel?
Absolutely, and you can see with this very cake, if you mix the squeezed juice of mackerel and flour and eggs before cooking it, it comes out all fluffy. That'd be incredible if true. Maybe mackerel cake will show up on the new menu of one of Father's restaurants. After all, mackerel's full of nutrients. It sounds healthy. It might get really popular with women and the elderly. But I'm not going to get anywhere near it. Same here. I hate fish. Girls won't eat something that weird. Even the elderly would wish to decline. But it's delicious, you know. Kumasawa was really cheering up the mood with her classic mackerel jokes, but the sound of the downpouring rain kept turning their attention toward the mystery guest. In the end, they showered Maria with questions again, since she was the only person here to have met Beatrice. If you ask me though, I hate fish. I only like shellfish. Like shrimp and stuff. I'm very picky. I can't believe she was actually telling the truth. You make it sound like as though you've never believed it. This Maria meets a witch business isn't news to you. Yeah, I thought it was just one of those fairy tales you'd expect from a dreamy kid that age.
She exists! Beatrice exists! Every year when we come to the family conference, I meet her and we play together!
That's right, although Beatrice doesn't usually show herself, I hear she sometimes unexpectedly appears before honest people with clean hearts. Beatrice referred to the character in the fairy tale about the Rokenjima witch. To keep Kinzo in a good mood, the family and servants acted as though they believed in the witch of his delusions. That's how Rokenjima's fairy tale, or maybe ghost story, had come into being. To the family members who knew of that backstory, the fairy tale of the Golden Witch wasn't something to be taken too seriously. However, they were never able to say out loud in front of Kinzo. Because of that, the legend of the witch carried a lot more weight to someone young like Maria, who didn't know the story of how it had come into being. That's why Maria believed in the legend of the witch. She accepted it entirely. It was only natural for an imaginative girl who believed in witches. So people had avoided saying things that would betray her dream. On the contrary, they worked together to say and do things that would help liven up her dreams without her knowing. So when Maria was showing us that candy that supposedly came from Beatrice, I figured someone subtly slipped it into her handbag. I have done similar things a few times in the past, secretly placing sweets somewhere. I imagine even Kumasawa, or rather all the servants and everyone in the Ushiro family have done it once or twice. So if it'll make a small innocent kid happy, You might place a suite somewhere and have everyone join in, keeping on the secret alive for her? Come to think of it, I bet you do that kind of thing all the time, George. Who knows? It'd probably be boorish to admit such a thing out loud. George admitted it while being extremely wary that Maria didn't find out. In other words, it's kind of like Santa Claus. To protect a kid's dreams, the parents plot together and lie, setting presents at the bedside of the child fast asleep, making me think of Takano being like, "Do you know who Santa Claus is? It's everyone's daddy." After all, you want to protect a kid's dreams, right? Obviously, I've known Santa doesn't exist for a long time now, but there's no reason to wake up from a dream like that. I wish I could have believed it all my life. Now, if you ask me, I mean, there are things but I guess so. Yeah, I have to agree. But in my case, I did not know Santa until like I was like in kindergarten because I was Chinese. So I'm just like, huh? I don't think this Santa Claus is real. Because adults know the world is filled with terrible things. They all want to at least protect the pure dreams of a child.
Ah! Beatrice exists! Exists!
Yes, she does. Beatrice does exist, right? Some time ago when I was drying mackerel to make some black tea suddenly. Well, it basically goes something like that. Supposedly, at least. So, simply put, this is supposed to be a witch that no one but Maria believed in. I wouldn't phrase it quite like that. The point is that we didn't believe. We're trying to all give her a chance to believe. So this isn't about betraying a child's innocence, but Santa doesn't exist in reality. If you don't want kids to be all disappointed when they learn the truth, you're better off not showing them that dream in the first place. Huh. 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 Oh, what a pain. Huh. 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 That line is so real to me. It's the fact that I think like this proof that I'm still a long way from becoming a full adult. The true nature of the Rokenjima's witch was finally starting to take shape in Valor's mind. However, their current situation overrode this understanding, and in fact, it completely overturned its very premise. So we thought we knew what was going on, but now Beatrice, the witch, has actually appeared in reality. Is that it? And now, judging by how freaked out our parents were, it looked like she wasn't an uninvited guest, and now it's starting to get interesting. There's no reason for us to simply assume that a woman called Beatrice doesn't exist. It's what Rudolph calls a devil's proof. None of us knew that a woman calling herself Beatrice existed. But that's not the same as proving that Beatrice doesn't exist. Dr. Nanjo, you've been friends with grandfather for a long time, right? At one point during the family conference, I was questioned quite thoroughly by Kraus and the others. They wanted to know if long ago, Kinzo might have had a mistress called Beatrice and an illegitimate child with her. I get it. Our parents have their heads full with the inheritance problem, so of course if the daughter of a mistress like that showed up, it'd be trouble for them. Kraus and the rest probably asked Genji about it first. However, Genji is an aide who has sworn loyalty to Kinzo, and is probably a friend more trusted by Kinzo than myself. I doubt he told them anything. So next, they wanted to ask me as an old friend of his. And? Did grandfather have a lover called Beatrice, Dr. Nanjo? He did. No, I have never met her. However, I have heard from Kinzo he had a relationship with a woman like that. He said she passed away a very long time ago. She's dead. So did the two of them have a kid? That I do not know. But Kinzo always says that reviving Beatrice is the goal of his research. Usually, if one loses a mistress but has a child left behind to remember them by, they pour all of their love onto that child. Therefore, we naturally assume there was no such child between Kinzo and Beatrice. So that leaves us with another devil's proof. Yeah. It's impossible to prove that a child between him and a mistress didn't exist. So now that this child actually has appeared, we have to assume she did exist after all. That's a bit of a rushed argument. It's more realistic that someone caught wind of the trouble with the Ushiromiya family inheritance, knew about grandfather's relationship with the mistress long ago, and impersonated her, trying to take a slice of the inheritance for themselves. Sure, that is realistic, but we can't deny the possibility that she really is an illegitimate child, one who lived in isolation and forgotten by grandfather, and who's returned for revenge, right? Revenge? What do you mean? Sorry. Guys just like to dramatize stuff to make it sound interesting. I've seen too many weird dramas. Normally that might come off as a light joke, but the joke had landed after an uninvited mystery guest, calling herself Beatrice, had marched on the day of the family conference, where a bloody argument that the inheritance had become took center stage. There was no way Battler's joke would be welcomed with laughter, so it was a really big help if Nanjo laughed brightly to calm everyone down. I see. That does sound quite intriguing. I would love to read a novel with a plot like that. Well, I don't think it'd actually work. After all, right now on this island there is 1, 2, 3, a full 18 people, right? If anyone tries to do something weird, they'll immediately get caught. And thanks to the typhoon, they can't even leave the island. In other words, if you tried to commit some crazy crime, you'd be screwed. I agree. In a dead end without any way to escape, and in a situation where everyone's really suspicious of her, I seriously doubt she could pull off a terrifying revenge drama like that. Probably not. In that case, it would be more realistic if she had come in secret, without making her presence known. I simply cannot imagine someone openly appearing to take a revenge outside of some historical drama. Well, who knows, right? Revenge is based on emotion, not logic. If you've got someone willing to go down along with their opponent, they might not be afraid of anything, not even the police or large numbers of people. It's okay, Jessica. None of the disturbing things we're imagining will happen. It's like the battle royale between our parents over the inheritance isn't disturbing. That's right. Dad and Uncle Rudolph are pretty tough, and Uncle Ava's even trained in martial arts. We'll be fine. Yeah. Jessica didn't say it out loud. She vaguely noticed her own father stood in opposition to all the other siblings on the inheritance issue. They usually played nice in front of the children, but when that pretense was lifted away, like it had been at dinner, the result would be a tumultuous uproar. After realizing this, it's only natural for Jessica to be frightened at the thought that her parents might get caught up in some kind of trouble, and becoming human sacrifices are something terrifying. Seriously, George is right. Nothing's gonna happen. Even if she pretends she's a witch, what can a single human woman who can't even use magic do? What are you doing, Valor? Come on! Raising a flag up here! Suddenly, a creepy laugh made all of them jump. And when they realized the strange laugh was coming from Maria, they were all shocked again.
I see. So that's how you see it, Valor.
What is? Don't laugh all creepy like that.
You accept Beatrice's existence for now. At least you accept her as the 19th person and a guest. But that's all right. You don't accept the 19th person Beatrice is a witch, right?
Huh? Of all the crazy things to say, of course that's what I think. Witches couldn't possibly exist. The only possibility is that she's a human woman claiming to be a witch.
Isn't that odd, Battler? That's a devil's proof, isn't it? Of course witches don't exist. But just because you've never met a witch, that doesn't mean you've proven that witches don't exist, right?
That's right. You're not wrong there. I can't prove that witches don't exist. However, even if I can't prove it, I can claim it. I claim that witches don't exist.
Why? How can you claim that witches don't exist, even though you can't prove it?
Because things like that don't exist.
So that's QED? You've finished your proof without any evidence or basis? And now there's a typical case of the ignorant willfully ignoring the shallowness of their own knowledge. A reckless suspension of thought.
And there's only one way to resolve this, Maria. The witches' side needs to show some proof themselves. It's a devil's proof again. If you bring me a devil, we can end this right now. In this case, we can just get this woman calling herself Beatrice to display some wonderful, magnificent magic, like the twinkling stars. All she has to do is show us something. That's impossible for humans, right? Come now, you two. Please settle down. Kumasawa noticed the atmosphere between them was getting worse and tried to calm them. It seemed as though Battler quickly realized he wasn't acting like an adult. But Maria's expression didn't loosen. As she laughed creepily, she kept staring at Battler. You quit it too, Maria. Let's get back in a good mood, okay?
If that's what you want, Beatrice will definitely show you. Something impossible for humans. When she does, you'll believe too, okay? You'll believe in Beatrice.
Sure. If she lets me have a look, I'll believe.
It's a chess between the witch and you, Battler. If you get checkmate, you'll believe in the witch.
Hey, why is this suddenly getting kind of meta here? What? Oh, I like the way you put that. The witch shows her magic. My king gets put into check. I quibble saying it may be possible to reproduce her feat using measures even a human could take, and my king escapes. Failing to do that would be checkmate, so that's a pretty good analogy.
Battler, in chess, you and your opponent have pieces that move in the same way, so you can predict your opponent's moves. But you know what? What you aren't expecting is that your opponent's pieces might be able to move in ways far stranger than yours. You simply assume that since witches must not exist, the movements of Beatrice's pieces will obviously be the same as your own. But you know what? Sorry, Battler, but your chess partner isn't human. She's a witch. She can move her pieces in ways that humans can't. Right now, your understanding is flawed. Battler, you like Aunt Curie's chessboard thinking, right?
Yeah, I like that style of thinking, where you stand in your opponent's shoes.
And that's why you'll get stuck. Even though your opponent is a witch, you won't accept it, so you can't understand the moves a witch might make, and your chessboard thinking won't work. Your knowledge of your opponent is mistaken. The very first premise of chessboard thinking is broken now.
So that's your game.
You cannot win in chess against a witch.
I don't know what happened after that. We servants were strictly ordered not to approach the dining room. I see. So, Shannon, have you ever met this person called Beatrice before? I don't know. That was a slightly odd way to say it. It didn't quite sound as though she was saying her memory was hazy. For us servants, Beatrice is a second master of this mansion. Some people say we spread the rumor because of the master's influence, but even when I just started working here, the story of Beatrice was already being whispered of. I heard about it before. If you don't show her respect, you'll get cursed, and at least one servant could actually meet with an accident, right?
Yes, but it's true that some people believe more than others. I believe respect for that sort of thing shouldn't be forgotten, so I have never doubted that she exists. I vaguely believe that a shadowy being called the Golden Witch existed.
And then that witch, whose existence was so shadowy and obscure, actually showed herself and entered openly through the entrance hall. Is that what happened?
I don't know. I don't know anything.
When you brought her dinner, did you talk about anything?
No, nothing.
I see. Still, a witch that eats food somehow doesn't sound so realistic. Maybe after all, it's just someone who knows about the witch legend on the island. Someone who's taking on Beatrice's name. I think you've probably come to respect Beatrice and think of her as something like a guardian god of the mansion. So when a person appeared actually going by that name, maybe you were a little disturbed.
That's right. I guess that must be the case.
George was slightly at a loss of what to do about Shannon's downcast appearance. Maybe not just Genji, but even the young servants had been ruthlessly questioned as to whether they knew anything about this Beatrice person, thinking that he tried to cheer her up somehow. Surely, just like Maria and Jessica, Shannon was unable to fully hide the agitation caused by the sudden visit of this person calling herself the Golden Witch. He'd been so sure that was the case, but George probably had no way of looking into Shannon's heart. Shannon was bitter and sad. The door to the Golden Land would be opened. The witch had definitely told her that. That meant the demise of everything. Even if she accepted the ring from George, they would never be married now. No, in the first place, did furniture like her even have the right to be married? Even if the witch hadn't come to signal their demise, wasn't their relationship fated to fail sooner or later? Had she turned her gaze to focus solely on those fun days spent with George, while purposely closing her eyes to the sad reality? What's wrong? You really haven't looked well for a while now.
George, what does it mean to be engaged?
Huh? It means making a promise to marry. But I think in that sense it means the same as marriage. To be honest, I want to take you home as my wife right away. But right now, I'm in the middle of training, and I'm still a long way from having the capacity to make my own castle. That's why I want to take you home with me with my head held high, only after I've become a full adult. I'm not talking about the distant future. I just want you to wait a short 3 years. But that doesn't mean I want to lie about my feelings for another 3 years. So, I decided to give you an engagement ring. That might be a shameful reason as a man. Maybe it's shameful to get engaged because I want you to wait since I can't support my work and my wife at the same time yet. But I will definitely.
Thank you very much. I understand that to you, George, an engagement ring means something different than one of the many presents you'd give to a lover.
Of course it's different. An engagement ring isn't a simple accessory. It's an oath between lovers, a noble promise left in the form of a ring.
So, if we were to get married right away, it'd be completely meaningless, right?
Then it wouldn't be an engagement ring. I'd give it to you as a wedding ring. Either way, I'd still be giving you a ring.
So it's a sold sign, like saying this woman is mine. Nobody touch her.
No, that's not what I... George knew that he was weak by nature. When he had been captivated by Shannon and had sworn to become an excellent man, he had sworn to throw away that weak part of himself. So, even if he had to be blunt about it, he chose to answer a little roughly. He was sure that doing so would bolster and reassure Shannon. No, that may be true. Sayo, I'll make you my wife. I won't give you to anyone else. I'll make you mine alone, so no one will lay a hand on you. That's what this ring is, without a doubt.
Thank you very much, George. I'm truly happy.
And George, if it was decided by fate this engagement ring, that promise could never be fulfilled, would you still give it to me? Shannon tried to ask that, but she swallowed her words, because George had already spoken the answer. George had said it. He said that to him an engagement ring was infinitely similar to a wedding ring. Therefore, accepting George's ring had a significance far more sacred than a promise to marry. So, I'll stop calling this an engagement ring. From now on, this isn't an engagement ring. It's a wedding ring.
Is that really okay? Is it okay to, just proclaim that we're married even without God's blessing?
Yeah. It's enough to tell God, Father, and Mother about it afterwards. We'll tell them all that we've been married. No one will be able to undo it.
George.
I'm not saying this because of a momentary emotion. I'm not just looking at how you are now. I'm looking at the you of tomorrow, of the next day. I'm even gazing at you as you'll be in old age in the future as I say this.
You're always talking about that, George. About how you want to enjoy your old age slowly surrounded by healthy children and grandchildren.
Yeah. At the time, an older you will be beside me. That's what I expect. No, what I foresee. Yes. Because that day will surely come.
Will it surely come?
Yes, surely. Definitely. And this ring proves it without words. Please show me. Here it is! George, thinking he was being told to show her the ring, hurriedly took out the ring box. Even though he had practiced so much, he hadn't been able to do it cool. But Shannon wasn't looking at that. In her straight, indirect gaze were vague tears and a smile. She focused her eyes on George's eyes. No, on something else she could see beyond his eyes. Please, show me that future. Yeah, I'll show you, surely. I promise it. And not just until old age. After we die, too. Even when we become spirits, we'll always be together. Shannon wiped away her tears and took the ring box. Inside was a diamond ring worthy of the blessing, the two of them. George said the line he'd practiced over and over again inside his head. I want you to put this ring on whatever finger you like and have that be your answer. So by tomorrow morning. Shannon smiled and took the ring. And with a completely natural movement, put the ring finger of her left hand. It really looked like a natural, ordinary movement. And for a while, George was stunned. This is my answer, George. Shannon, no, Sayo. And even when we become spirits, we'll always be together, George. There was no blessing from God, no pastor to witness, nothing. But the two who were married proclaimed it. Two souls were joined here today. God, knowing the full context, I'm just saying that if you do anything with Umineko, it is something that has to be reconsumed over and over again in order to understand everything. Anyway, Nei-san, you're a fool.
Is that so?
Even though you're furniture.
I'm not furniture. Not anymore.
Liar! Why are you fooling yourself? Even though you know you can never become human. Even though you know you can't become human unless you go to the Golden Land. Knowing that, why did you abandon that promise that you would let you go there?
Oh, right. By accepting the ring, that promise of Beatrice comes to nothing, doesn't it? I'm sorry.
From now on, you, George, the Master, and everyone else are under the same conditions. 13 people will be sacrificed. Only 5 people will be invited to the Golden Land. And you rejected one of those places yourself.
That's odd. It looked like you were the one with regrets, Kano.
You're the one with regrets, aren't you, Nei-san? You've got engaged, right? Even though you knew it was fate that could never be fulfilled.
Yes. I promised that we would always be together for eternity. So you know what? In that instant, our eternity was completed. Even if we become sacrifices, it's already completed. So it's okay. Kano, you're the one who actually has regrets. We're furniture, right? We'll be free no matter the result. So it doesn't matter whether we go to the Golden Land or not. And yet, you're set on going there. You want to become human no matter what, right? Why?
Because I want to become human! I've had enough of being furniture!
Why?
I wanted to fall in love too! Tears were coming from Kanon's eyes, and he howled. I liked Milady, and after seeing Milady that day, I started liking her even more. And when I heard that Milady also liked me, I was really happy. But I'm furniture, and I can't accept Milady's feelings.
You're wrong. We may be furniture. We may be less than human, but that doesn't mean that we aren't qualified to love.
I thought that if these feelings would never come to anything, I'd be better off not having them. I just decided that eventually I'd disappear, and that it definitely hurt her. No, that's wrong! I was just frightened! I was just afraid, thinking that any love couldn't be eternal was best avoided. Even though their lives only last a few weeks, cicadas fall in love and then vanish. But you never find a cicada that refused to fall in love simply because it'll end in a few weeks. Ah! Ah! It seems that Canon was still muttering his regrets, but now it was all just jumbled up with his sobs. Sorry, I don't know how to cry. That witch is detestable. Why has she planted these feelings in me? If only she hadn't pulled that bizarre prank, I wouldn't have paid the lady any notice. Beatrice is detestable. To make you cry bitter tears. She played games with your fate. But I don't think things went as the witch expected. After all, knowing love isn't a regret that ties you to life. It's the destination we're supposed to reach in our journey through life. Knowing the real context hurts. Well now, Kano, that promise you worked so hard for has now come to nothing. Very well then. With this, the conditions for all the pieces are the same. There are 18 pieces. 13 will be offered as sacrifices. Who will the 5 survivors be? Or else, will someone destroy the ceremony? Who? How? This isn't a chess problem. It is a game on equal footing. I won't be cornering you one-sidedly. You'll be able to frantically escape my advances and force a tie, an invalid match. At any rate, I doubt you can manage more than repeating that over and over, and it probably won't be that difficult for you. However, this invalid match will continue forever, until it eventually wears down your mind and kills it. That is when you'll accept your defeat and surrender to me. There's a reason I said it was a game on equal footing. That's because rules for my loss have also been established. There's nothing as boring as a game you can't lose, right? As for how to defeat me, that would be the epitaph that stands as an offering to my portrait. It's both a way to open the door to the Golden Land, and the key to destroying my ceremony. I'll try to complete the ceremony in accordance with the epitaph. You'll try to solve the riddle of the epitaph, destroy the ceremony, and overthrow me. Solve the riddle hidden in the epitaph and expose the location of the vast sum of gold I gave Kinzo. What result will this game show us? I'm expecting a good fight, okay? Entertain me, Ushiromiya battler! I have no objections. Natsuhi and I acknowledge it. I can't believe it, and I don't want to. But this is the truth, isn't it? Natsuhi, choose your words more carefully. She's his family's most honored guest. I also acknowledge it. Can't argue back. Yes, I acknowledge it. I have absolutely no complaints. I can't believe you have my honest respect. Me too. Incredible. I genuinely respect you, so I have to acknowledge it. I acknowledge it too. I still can't believe it. Still, what can I do? You've proven devils. It's your victory. The devil's proof was a convenient excuse you like to use to handle unprovable matters, but now it's become your mortal enemy, has it not? Don't torture me, mighty witch. I've already acknowledged you. I resign. Kyrie, you still have objections. I must have everyone in agreement, if you alone will not acknowledge my existence.
As the witch laughed boldly, the siblings started getting frantic. They were afraid of displeasing the witch. Kyrie lightly closed her eyes. After keeping silent for a while, opened her mouth. My apologies. I resign.
Only Kirie had faced the witch with stern eyes until the end. However, this had only resulted in her refusing to accept the truth for a short time. The truth being that before her eyes couldn't be denied. Devils had already been proven. I also acknowledge it. You are Beatrice, the Ushirimiya family alchemist, and a user of great magic. I must acknowledge the fact that you are a witch. The second day, October 5th, 1986. What is the sound that always fills my ears? Is it the sound of rain? The sound of waterfall? Or could it be radio static? If not, I want it to be the sound of blood flowing through my body. I want it to be the sound of blood circulating throughout me, telling me that I'm still alive. Oops, this is Kinzo's line. Oh, my bad. What is the sound that always fills my ears? Is it the sound of the rain? The sound of a waterfall? Or could it be radio static? If not, I want it to be the sound of blood flowing through my body. I want it to be the sound of blood circulating throughout me, telling me that I'm still alive. Is it morning? The light entering through a crack in the curtain was faint, but at least it told him that dawn had broken. Kinzo, still in the position he'd been when he woke up, still sitting in a chair, looking at the ceiling, felt the blood slowly travel throughout his body. Judging by the clock, it was early morning, 6 on the dot. No matter how tired he was, no matter how deeply he slept, he always woke up at exactly this time, as though he had measured it with an hourglass. He didn't think of it as something to boast about, but he told himself as long as he could still manage this, his health couldn't be that bad. Morning has come, which means, It would appear I've avoided becoming one of the first of the sacrifices. Was I merely lucky when the roulette was spun? Or is this the fruit of my efforts? How irritating, I cannot tell the difference. But I mustn't be bothered by such trivialities. Kinzo was struck by a faint desire to see this beyond the study door. After all, he might find the traces of someone's vain struggle to break through the door, a sign that someone had tried to select him as one of the first 6 sacrifices. Humans are cheap creatures, even though everything is ultimately decided by God. When humans are given good fortune, they arrogantly feel it was due to their own ability. That was why he wanted to check whether there was a wretched mark on the door. The very desire was human. And that was why Kinzo did not check. He often rejected desires that came to him because he was human. By doing that, he could be immersed in a feeling of sufficiency, as though he himself had become a being that surpassed humans. He recognized human desires for what they were, and guarded against them. Things that a human would want to do, he resisted. This eccentricity and rebellious nature had surely given him a rare genius, making it possible for him to succeed in his exploits as he revived the Ushirimiya family in a single generation. Well then, Beatrice, what were the 6 pieces you took? And what will your next move be? Entertain me. My defense is perfect. I will not shame myself like last time. The servants woke early. They had to open the curtains, prepare breakfast, and complete various tasks to welcome the guests to a new day. Goda was the most enthusiastic. During the family conference, he had been told to concentrate his efforts especially on cooking. He was especially exempted from several tests that servants normally must do. Goda, who was a show-off, seemed to be feeling particularly superior because of that. He let Genji and the rest prepare the rest of the mansion and worked on making breakfast in the kitchen. Genji split the work with Shano and Kano, and they carried out various tasks. Shano headed to the dining hall and knocked. Last year, the family conference has continued to the early hours in the morning. It wouldn't have been odd if this year's conference had done the same. Considering the possibility they were still having a discussion inside, she knocked. But there was no response, so she opened the door and said good morning. Good morning. Is anyone there? The room was cold. The conference seemed to have ended a long time before. There was a tea set from the table which they'd probably been drinking, arranged in a way that would make it easy to clean up. Cleaning up the tea was a servant's job. If the family members were extra generous and cleaned it up themselves, the servants would lose face. So it was truly a pleasant act of kindness for the family to do only this much. As she approached the table to clean it, she noticed something like a memo that had been left near the utensils and cups. Since it was right next to the tea set, Shadow picked it up, naturally thinking it was a memo for the servant doing the cleaning. Written there was not a request, nor was it thanks for preparing the tea. There was just a single word. Shannon looked at it blankly and read it aloud. Chapel. A small sound kept repeating over and over. Normally, that sound would have been too trivial to be worth caring about. If only I could stop hearing it soon, I could go back to sleep right away, she thought vaguely. But no matter how much time passed, the sound did not end. It repeated over and over. Shut up! Who is it? Banging on the door this whole time. As soon as she realized that, she woke up. Someone was knocking. Then she noticed it wasn't just a knock, but a voice as well. Rosa, good morning. Wait, I'm coming now. It had been Genji's voice. Looking at the clock, it wasn't even 7 yet. It was clearly too early to wake the guests. Did something happen that was bad enough to cause this? She felt her sleepiness increasingly fade thanks to this premonition of misfortune. Though Genji was a servant, Rosa had known him since her childhood days, so even though she was slightly defenseless in her pajamas, she opened the door a crack and answered. Good morning. I apologize for waking you this early.
Did something happen?
Yes, actually at the chapel. Genji whispered something into Rosa's ear. For a second, it seemed Rosa couldn't understand what she'd been told. After having it repeated several times, she realized that apparently something strange had happened. Rosa closed her door for a second, changed her clothes quickly, and followed Genji toward the mansion. The chapel requires some explanation. It wasn't in the mansion, but the grove behind it, a short walk's distance away. It had been built at the same time as the mansion, so though its walls had been repaired many times, making it look new from the outside, it was a very old building. Rosa dashed through the rain along with Genji. Just like the previous night, the rain was falling in earnest. Eventually, the chapel came into sight from beyond a thin grove. Just looking at it from the outside, it seemed like a place of dazzling beauty where a pair of young lovers might want to get married. However, Kinzo apparently viewed it as a very sacred place, so Rosa and her siblings have been given strict instructions not to approach it unnecessarily. Even though they were all grown up now, approaching the chapel for any reason would still make them feel guilty, and also afraid as if their father might be angry and hit them in the face. Their servant silhouettes could be seen in front of the chapel's entrance, Goda, Shannon, and Kano, which meant that all the servants on the morning shift had gathered. A short while ago, Genji had spoken to Rosa, telling her what the situation was. However, without laying eyes on it directly, she definitely hadn't been able to understand. It was probably the same for all the servants that gathered here as well. Without seeing it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have been able to understand what was going on. On the door entrance of the chapel was something very large, written in a creepy, stringy paint that made one think of blood. Something like a creepy magic circle. What is this? When was it drawn here? The servants looked at each other. Goda was the first to open his mouth. But my apologies. We don't usually enter this building, so we don't know when it was made. Then who was the first person to find it?
It was me. When I went to the dining hall to clean up the tea set, I found a memo with chapel written on it.
Shadow held out the memo with a shaking hand. Whose handwriting is it? It isn't Nissan's or Nasan's. So after that, you came here and found this, right?
Yes.
Rosa, look at this. What? Happy Halloween for... What? Cannon pointed at a single line of English written below the creepy magic circle. And until it had pointed out to her, she thought it was just another part of the magic circle. The following words are written in English. Happy Halloween for Maria. There's a song about that. Happy Halloween for Maria. This creepy magic circle was for Maria. Happy Halloween. Yesterday, only one person had said Happy Halloween to Maria. The key phrase matched. It was the Golden Witch Beatrice. What about Maria? She should be sleeping with her cousins, right? Did you check? My apologies. We just now realized that Maria's name was written here. We still have not checked. Quickly. What are you doing? I'll go check on Maria and come back. Tell Kraus and the rest too. After that, follow their instructions. After saying that much, Rosa finally noticed that something was odd. What the hell? Her own rank in this family conference was the lowest of the 4 siblings. Why is she being the only one called during an abnormal situation like this when the other siblings hadn't been? Even if Maria's name had been popped up. Could it be... What? Yes, we tried to contact Kraus, but we couldn't find him.
And Madame was not in her room.
Judging by the condition of the sheets, she might not have returned to her bed at all last night. Rosa felt something creepy crawling up slowly up her back. Did you check the inside of the chapel? No, not yet. We tried, but... Actually, the lock to the chapel is special, so the master key will not work. There is a single key that can open it, but that key is missing from the key box. She didn't want to get closer to the door with the creepy magic circle if she could. Rosa readied herself an approach and tried pushing and pulling the knob. All she felt was the resistance of a sturdy lock. We searched to see if there was a window we could enter through, but I think we have to break one of the windows if we want to check inside. What do you think? There's no way I can give you approval for something like that. This is Father's precious chapel. At the time, the events of the previous day swirled around the back of Rosa's mind. That's right. When I met with that witch in the rose garden, didn't she hand Maria an envelope? Yeah, there is no mistake. She did hand it over. When Maria tried to open it, the witch told her not to do it yet, and then she surely said, "The time to open that will come soon." Rosa was sure. There could be no mistake. The envelope Maria had received was... After dashing to the guest room, Rosa approached the cousin's room while hiding her footsteps. Slowly softly opened the door and peered inside. From the inside, she could hear the healthy snores of typical young people. There were 4 children, and Maria was there, sleeping soundly. After breathing a sigh of relief, she entered the room with quiet footsteps. She was after Maria's handbag, which was resting on the sofa. Maria always liked carrying her treasures around with her. She was probably emulating how her mother always carried her makeup with her. Of course, she was just imitating her mother, so everything on the inside was junk. In Maria's case, it was full of small, creepy occult items, notebooks, describing things of that nature, and so on. Rosa had never been happy to see her daughter walking around with things like that, which weren't girlish at all. However, trying to force Maria to stop had resulted in a big fight, so she decided to let it be. Here, this is it. A western envelope with the crest of the gold eagle. When she took it out of the bag, she realized there was a heavy, vaguely cylindrical object inside. She could tell by its feel and its weight. There was no doubt. This was a key. After turning around and checking that Maria was still sound asleep, Rosa tore open the envelope and the contents spilled out into her palm. It was a key with an old and intricate design. Rosa gripped that key and dashed out. Balor seemed to have noticed that sound, but after grumbling and turning over in his sleep, he started snoring again. Genji, could this key be the key to the chapel? Where did you... Yes, this is the key to the chapel. Rosa approached the creepy magic circle once again and put the key in the keyhole. There was a strong resistance. After it resisted for a short while, it stopped resisting with a clunk. Then, squeaking with a noise that hurt one's ears, it slowly began to open. Is anyone there? Her voice reverberated through the massive room. Of course, there was no answer. The chapel had a high ceiling. The air was cold. And even on this rainy, unsettling day, it felt sacred for some reason. The servants timidly followed after Rosa. Rosa, look at that. Kano noticed it immediately and pointed. Over there was the altar. In a place that would normally have a pastor preaching of God's love, there was a table that shouldn't have been there. At first, it looked like a dining table. There actually were gorgeous plates and utensils placed there, making it look like a child's birthday party or something. Upon closer inspection, the surrounding area had been decorated with pumpkins and black and orange ribbons. They were probably Halloween decorations. And there were people seated at the table. 3 people on each side facing each other, seated in chairs. They could be recognized at a glance. Kraus and his wife, Ava and her husband, and Rudolph and his wife. But if you wanted to be sure, you'd have to go even closer and check. Because they seem almost like dolls. Rosa and the rest had opened the door, entered all at once with a sound of many footsteps, called out asking if anyone was there, and yet there had been no reaction. Even if Rosa and the rest assumed they were being ignored, you'd still expect there to be some kind of reaction. And there hadn't even been that. So at first it felt like someone had set down some dolls that greatly resembled those people. By now, it wasn't just Rosa. Shannon and Canon and even Goda. They were all fighting frantically with a creepy emotion that grasped their hearts. Nisan. As she walked toward the altar, she called out again, but there was still no reaction. Yes, by now Rosa was sure of it. She was sure they weren't dolls, but the people themselves. They grew close enough to see clearly what lay on the table. It still looked like an adorable banquet, reminiscent of a child's birthday party. Plates piled up with sweets, cute pitchers with drinks, all kinds of pumpkin-shaped ornaments. They were all decorated in a Halloween style. And while this probably wasn't time to be thinking, Maria surely would be delighted to see all of this. That was the state of the table they sat in front of, apparently asleep. It was an eerie scene, as though a small, fun-looking Halloween party had been stopped in time. They're all sleeping? When she approached even closer to them, she realized there were snacks scattered all over the floor. Candies, cookies, sodas, and chocolates, all with heavily fantasy-themed packaging. They were all scattered across a carpet covered with blackberry and cranberry jam. Rosa and the rest finally realized what the situation was. It was a Halloween party. A banquet for those not of this world. Proust, Natsuki, Ava, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, and Kyrie were seen in chairs apparently asleep, but all dead. How could you tell they were dead and simply not sleeping? That was because they'd been vertically sliced open. From their chests to their stomachs. Gross! How cruel. The 6 of them had sat down the Halloween party before having their stomachs split open, killing them. The jam covering the floor must be what overflowed from their stomachs once they stuffed themselves completely, right? No! The contents of their stomachs had been scattered all over the floor. And that wasn't all. Out of their stomachs, it was almost as though they pour out, as though snacks had overflowed from there. Candies, cookies, sodas, and chocolates had poured out, stained with blood, and had scattered across the floor. What could have happened to cause this? It's almost as though their stomachs were stuffed full to bursting with sweets. And it all poured out, their stomachs split open. Rosa remembered a certain shocking meal, a turkey that had been served at her own birthday. When it had been cut open with a knife, out flowed one of her favorite foods. But since she hadn't been told what was inside, the deep, deep red ketchup omelet rice poured out like bloody maggots, pulsing, dripping, slimy, pulpy, squelching. The trauma of her youth was revived. Rosa felt a monster raging inside of her stomach as acid started to rise. Unable to hold back, she threw up all over the floor. Her empty stomach had nothing but stomach acid. The scene in front of her was no fun Halloween party now. The 3 couples were enshrined right there, their stomachs violently wrenched open with a... So many snacks had been stuffed in there, pulpy, squishy. Blood and guts and sweets were overflowing onto the floor. Blood-stained, sticky, sloppy, pulpy, sweet snacks that made your fingers stick together. Gummy, stained with entrails, sloppy, pulpy. What was it that I stepped on just now? I didn't feel like a candy or a soda or a cookie or a chocolate. I'm scared. What did I step on? I beautiful and fantastical and fun, but from up close it was horrible, disgusting, and yet somehow still beautiful. Rosa's wild thoughts tried as best as they could to escape her throat with a loud voice that was neither a scream nor a roar. Gross. This is horrible. Just horrible. Call an ambulance! Call the police! That's right! The police! 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 If a word so tied to reality hadn't come out of Goda's mouth, Rosa and the rest would probably have found themselves unable to escape that nightmarish party even now. But it wasn't because they thought the police might be able to do something. If they didn't keep yelling about the police, it felt as though another seat might be set up at this demon's party and given to them. Their own chests felt like they were expanding unpleasantly from the inside, rumbling, churning. And it was surely because candy was about to overflow from their stomachs. Rosa, once again tortured by the desire to vomit, threw her stomach acid up on the floor, and then she searched to see if there was any candy in it. Anyway, Rosa coughed violently again, forcefully spilling out the stomach acid that had been burning in her throat. She realized that by now her whole body had been covered in a filthy sweat. Kenji! Shannon! Please contact Father and ask for instructions. Go with Canon and call the police. Then have Dr. Najo come here. Why even bring Dr. Najo here? It's a bit too late for medical care. The servants accepted their orders and dashed outside. After watching them leave, Rosa once again stared at her siblings, with whom she'd spent good times and bad, and their partners. Though there could be nothing more tragic than this scene, for some reason, she was tempted to describe these fantastical deaths as beautiful. Oh yes, Columbo. The only reason why I know that is because of JoJo's. Okay, but yeah, oh yes. Not in before small bombs. And yes, the nasty maggots. Oh, yeah, yes. Right. Hello! Yep. I was kind of... I didn't want to break the tension, so... They aren't here. Where'd they go? The serving room and the kitchen are both empty. What in the world happened?
Mama! Where's Mama? My letter! The letter I got from Banto! Give it back! Give it back!
Perplexing. Paler, are you sure it was Aunt Rosa? Well, even if I was half asleep, I'm not too sure. But I get the feeling in the early morning Aunt Rosa came in and fished around in Maria's handbag. I figured there was probably a tube of toothpaste or something in there. Why would there be a tube of toothpaste in Maria's handbag? Looks like you were a little more than half asleep. Balor, vaguely remembering, Rosa entered the cousins' room. Also, when Maria woke up before the rest of them, she started rampaging around saying that someone opened the envelope that she'd been keeping safe. Putting two and two together, they figured Rosa had probably come and opened the envelope. A letter from the Golden Witch. Wonder what was inside. I don't know, but that envelope was for Grandfather's personal use and had the Ushirimiya family crest on it. Whatever was inside it must have had some connection to the family conference. She hadn't let anyone touch it, but yesterday Maria had shown that envelope off to Balor and the rest of the whole lot, so they remembered it well.
Mama, give it back! Mama, give it back!
Well, if you're right, it had to be pretty important. Why would this mighty witch give something that important to Maria? I don't get it. Every once in a while, the refreshing morning atmosphere was completely wiped out by the sound of thunder. It was only natural, since the moment they woken up, they hadn't met yet anyone else. It felt like they were only left, as if the mansion had become an empty husk. Hey! Anyone there? Answer me! Jessica called out into the hallway, and eventually an answer came back. It came from the entrance hall. I can hear you. Has something happened? It's Dr. Nanjo. Thank goodness. It looks like everyone but us hasn't disappeared from this island after all. Dr. Nanjo, good morning. Sorry, but do you know where our parents went? Dear me, I only just woke up and came here, you see. I have no way of knowing for sure, but let's see. It was only natural. Nanjo was a guest like the rest of them. He'd just come just now to pass the time in the parlor until breakfast.
Dr. Nanjo, Mama took it! Mama took my letter! Get it back! Get it back!
Maria buried her face in Nanjo's plump stomach, sobbing and crying. Nanjo could do nothing but be bewildered by this ruckus so early in the morning. Someone's running this way. Jessica! Someone's coming! From down the hall, they could see people running hurriedly. They saw Goda and Cannon coming toward them. Normally, it would be disgraceful for a servant to run inside the mansion, and yet Val and the rest didn't even think to question that now. Maria's sobbing had become so unmanageable, they wanted to ask someone, anyone, where Rosa was. But the two servants seemed to have bigger things on their minds than Jessica, who was waving at them. Goda flew into the servant room, and when Kano noticed that Nanjo was there, he bowed and approached the doctor at a quick pace before whispering something into his ear. What did you say? Rosa did. Yes. I will guide you, so please accompany me. Understood. This way. Without saying anything more than that, Kano finally noticed Jessica and bowed to her. But he wasn't calm. He dashed down the corridor by which he had come and followed by Nanjo. By looking at how hurried they were, Val and the rest realized that yes, something bad had really happened. They saw Goda through the door to the servant room, which had been flung open. He was holding the receiver and violently pressing the hook. From that, they realized he was trying to call a hospital or the police. And in any event, he was trying to call someone because a serious emergency had occurred. Let's have a look. Yeah.
Mama, give it back! Give back my letter! It's an invitation to the Golden Land!
They didn't know what, but something was happening. Val and the rest chased after Cannon and Nanjo. And then we realized Cannon had called Dr. Nanjo, but he hadn't called us, so we shouldn't have gone with them. I wonder if Alice regretted her acts of curiosity when she chased after the rabbit holding a clock. No, you mustn't go in! You mustn't look! Jessica! No! This goes way beyond bad taste. Isn't taking someone's life bad enough? What the hell is this? Going to all the trouble after they died and sitting them on chairs, slicing their stomachs and pulling their entrails out? You went to all the trouble of stuffing their stomachs full of sweets? Why? Why the hell would you do something so fucked up? Damn it! Damn it! Nice job, you bastard! Just great! Just great! Yeah! Oh, yep. It would be best if everyone went outside. They certainly wouldn't want you to see all of them like this. I told the children to go outside, but no one listened. Rosa, please tell them. If they keep looking at something like this, it will do nothing but harm. Rosa regretted her own carelessness. She should have realized the children would eventually come here. She should have quickly locked up instead of standing around stunned. Ooh, yes. So the children had to come here. They had seen it. Surely at this very moment, they were having a sight burn into their eyes. It was far more grotesque than the shocking meal Rosa had witnessed in her youth. While she hugged Maria, who seemed to be too shocked to show any emotion at this gruesome scene, Rosa cried for them and their parents. The foregroaning and their crying voices, their sadness, continued to echo in a place that should have known God's love. Piece of crap! Again? Another one of these murders? And this time you made it all elaborate, killing them like it's a total joke! I was rather hoping that you'd thank me and not cry out in grief. Thank you? Did you say I should thank you, you old bitch? Damn it, if there's something wrong with your ears, I'll cut them both off so you can hear better. Why should I have to see that insane way of killing and say, "Oh, thank you very much, Beatrice! I'll beat your brains out!" In the last game, you lamented the fact that you couldn't see your parents' faces after they died, yes. So this time I left them. Didn't touch them. Take a good look, but without a doubt your father and the rest have been killed. Really? What a nice treat! I'm so fucking happy! I swore I'd fly your face after I took the life out of you, but I'll take that back! I'll rip out your guts instead! Don't give in to emotion. Don't stop thinking. My game has already begun, right? I decided to leave you neat and tidy corpses this time. Do you know why? When you denied my existence in the last game, you used this line of reasoning. Their faces were crushed, so the identity of the corpses can't be confirmed. Therefore, we can't eliminate the possibility that the fake corpses were prepared to create an alibi. Unless that possibility is denied, a human culprit theory can still be built. What did you say? So, Battler, is it okay to leave the examination of the corpses to Nanjo? Isn't it traditional mystery novels for a doctor to perform such examinations to be an accomplice? Then don't leave the examination to him. Do it yourself. Make completely sure, without a doubt, the 6 corpses are the 6 people they're supposed to be. That they really, really are dead. Not just pretending. If you wish to confirm that your father and mother have been killed by having their stomachs cut open and their entrails pulled out, you better stick your head inside their stomachs and feel around. I won't cry! Damn it, I won't cry! Valor suddenly yelled. His tears were still dripping down, but as though scolding himself for being a sissy, he slapped his face hard several times with both hands. Even so, his tears wouldn't stop. However, he felt a hot blaze in both of his eyes. Whoever's responsible for this piece of work, I'll make them pay their debt completely! So this isn't the time to cry! Gotta think about what to do! It's useless. It's all useless! If you got time to cry, then think! This is no time to let yourself cry! Rather than genuine anger, maybe it was more of evasive anger to blot out sadness. However, it gave a little courage to George and Jessica, who'd been crushed by the sadness. That's right. Even if we cry, it won't change the reality of what has happened. Damn it! 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 Now what should we do? What should I do for Mom and Dad's sakes? Rosa, I have returned. Goto, what happened with the police? What did they say to do? Did they say when they could think they'd be able to get here? As to that, it seems the phones have broken down. I also tried the emergency wireless, but maybe it's the weather, but that isn't working either. What did you say? So we can't contact the police? It's that person! They did something to the phone line and made it so that we can't reach the cops! When she heard the phones have broken down, Jessica immediately decided it was the work of that mysterious guest. Her eyes were bright red after so much crying they began to grow even redder with rage. There's no need to talk about it, right? I understand everything. Everything, that's right, I get it! Who killed Dad and Mom? It's obviously her! It's gotta be that witch or whoever came yesterday! I'll grab her by the collar! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Jessica! Wait! Koda! Cannon, go! Yes, ma'am. Lady, wait! Covering her uncontrollable sadness with anger, Jessica ran out, torn apart by emotion. Thinking about it hastily, maybe the mystery guest who arrived yesterday, Beatrice, was suspicious. However, in that instant, there was absolutely no proof that she wasn't the culprit. At this moment, she's just another guest, no more, no less. So Rosa, making an adult decision, was forced to stop Jessica in her rash rampage. Cannon and Goda picked up on this immediately and chased after her. Could the guest that no one invited, Beatrice, be the culprit? I understand how Jessica feels. I wish I could think that too. It doesn't matter who. I want someone to be the culprit so I can bash them right in the face. But before that, we need to make a clear understanding of what's going on. Who's this Beatrice? I haven't even seen her face!
If you're looking for her face, it decorates the big portrait in the mansion. You still don't remember after looking at it for so long?
Come on, Maria! What's so funny in a situation like this?
Beatrice is a witch, and the ceremony to open the door to the Golden Land has finally begun. Those 6 are sacrifices. Come, let's begin the witches' banquet. Tonight is Halloween, so now the witches will gather to celebrate.
Maria! Don't I always tell you not to laugh with that creepy voice? The crisp of Rosa slapping Maria's cheek echoed throughout the ceiling. Chapel. High ceiling chapel. I messed up. I'm sorry. Yeah, I accidentally did an accident. Whoops. My bad. I accidentally pressed on that when I was doing something. Ever since it started raining yesterday. No, ever since the island was swallowed up by the typhoon, I felt as though something was wrong. It was bright and sunny when I arrived on Rokenjima, but since I've gotten up early and was sleepy, so I took a nap. When I woke up, it had already started raining, and ever since that time, suddenly a mysterious visitor calling herself the Golden Witch Beatrice arrived. It felt like I was sinking bit by bit into a bizarre world. What the heck happened when I was napping? Am I supposed to believe this island was sealed off inside of a different world where common sense doesn't apply? Yes, it was the witch. Who is this person called Beatrice? Is some unknown person trying to involve themselves with the inheritance problem, just like our parents were freaking out about dinner last night? Or is it the culprit, this witch from the Legend of the Gold, just like Maria said? Even if we set Jessica's temper aside, given the circumstances, it's probably safe to say this visitor person is the most suspicious. But we mustn't make up our minds based on that alone. It's useless, it's all useless! I smacked myself in the face with both hands again, cooling off my brains before they overloaded, even though it might have been a wasted effort. This is one of Grandfather's envelopes. On a tray piled up with sweets that decorated the table, George found a Western envelope that the Ushirmiya family crest had done on in gold leaf, and it wasn't open. Which means it's probably meant for us, right? If it was something Dan and the others read, it should be open. It seems your reasoning is correct. It's written right here. Someone wrote to those who remain. Is that a letter the culprit left? What's inside? Aniki, let's open it. After nodding silently, George broke the seal. A folded letter came out. I'll read it. Welcome to Rokenjima, members of the Ushirmiya family. I am Beatrice, the alchemist for this family, employed by the Kinzo himself. That letter really was a joke. Miss Beatrice, who called herself the family alchemist, had announced that she was collecting the gold she lent Grandfather along with interest, and that interest was everything Grandfather had created. Since this tragedy was right before our eyes, as this paragraph was being read aloud, it clearly wasn't referring to just the wealth that Grandfather had built up. It was literal. Everything that the Grandfather had created. In other words, all Grandfather's descendants were included in the interest. You bastard! What a screwed-up contract! Leave his interest for gold, you say? That's almost like a contract with the devil, isn't it? You think that makes him look more like a witch? Oh, I messed up. Because I already knew I messed up when I said lives incorrectly. Let's try that again. You bastard! What a screwed-up contract! Lives with interest for gold, you say? That's almost like a contract with the devil, isn't it? You think that makes you look more like a witch? Ha! Don't make me laugh! Special clause. However, if someone is able to discover the hidden goal of this contract, Beatrice must abandon these rights for all time. Kinzo has already publicly displayed the location of the hidden gold with the epitaph under my portrait. In other words, it's something like this. If these murders represent her collecting interest, then she's telling us to try to find the gold she gave Grandfather if we want her to stop. She's also saying the secret to pointing to the gold is hidden in the portrait epitaph. So basically, this is a letter of challenge from the witch? She's telling us to try to solve the code that points to the hidden gold if we can? If we can't, she'll keep collecting the interest as she's planned? I'll beat you to death! Bring it on! Battler! Look! Look! The table was covered with sweets, so even though those things were right out in the open, we just assumed they were sweets too. I mean, come on, you see them a lot, right? You know those boxes of chocolate shaped like gold ingots? This is no box of candy. It's the real thing! This is a real gold bar! It's inscribed with the crest of a one-winged eagle. I heard Mother talking about this earlier. This is a gold bar from Grandfather's Legend of the Gold! Gold ingots weighing a full 10 kilograms, a whole 3 of them were piled up in the very center of the table. It was where a cake would be placed if it was a birthday party. In other words, this was without a doubt the birthday cake of the party, known as the family conference. If these are really 4 9-quality ingots, it's worth about 60 million yen. Dumbass! That's too cheap! Our parents' lives have been killed, and all you got is piled up is the 60 million yen in gold? Don't take this for fools, damn it!
So it's begun, Beatrice. It's not like anyone can solve this riddle anyway, so Beato will definitely win. Quickly, open the door to the Golden Land and take me with you.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Milady, please calm yourself. We still don't know who the culprit is, and Beatrice is an important honored guest of the Masters. So what? If we grab her in the collar, she'll definitely confess. If I could just look her in the eye, I'll know. I'll see through her. A witch? Beatrice! Yeah, right! I'll expose her! Jessica never stopped moving. Goda and Canon chased after her, doing their best to convince her to stop, but Jessica never lent them an ear. Eventually, the witch's VIP room came into view. This VIP room was always sealed and never used. No matter what kind of guests came, Kinzo would never let them in there. And yet the servants were always made to clean this room, so that it could be used at any time. So the servants had started calling this room the witch's VIP room, after their second shapeless master. Jessica knew about this too. She couldn't forgive the arrogance of the one who called herself a witch by staying in that room. The Golden Witch was just a fairy tale. Come on, a witch? To Jessica, she was nothing more or less than a murderer who had brutally killed her parents. Question her, hear her pitiful excuses, make her sputter in pain, gasp in anguish. No matter how hard she pretends to be a witch, I'll teach her that she's just a stinking, sweaty human! As Jessica yelled with all of her strength, she hit the door to the VIP room. It definitely wasn't a knock. That sound was the beating of her anger's hammer, as she was determined to break the door down if it wasn't opened. Open up, Beatrice! Come out! You hear me, right? Open up! There was no answer. Jessica grabbed the doorknob without any reservation, but she felt the resistance of the lock. She turned around to look at the 2 servants and spoke. The master can't unlock this, right? Use it! Lady, that would be horribly rude. Although Goda was flustered, he tried to somehow calm Jessica's anger. After hanging his head silently for a while, Canon pulled a master key from his jacket pocket. Canon! Are you sure? Yes, I'm fully aware it'd be rude if she happens to be in there. At any rate, if Beatrice had nothing to do with that incident, all she has to do is give us a satisfying explanation. That's right, exactly! Let me borrow that! Jessica snatched the master key from Canon's hand and violently shoved it into the keyhole. Immediately, there was a small sound, as she felt the lock click. Then, without asking permission, she flung the door open. Beatrice! Where are you? Come out! Jessica rudely stepped into the room. The witch wasn't anywhere to be seen. That bitch! She's not here! Where the hell'd she go? Yes, she doesn't seem to be here. Jessica, thinking she might be hiding somewhere inside the room, peeked behind the curtains and under the bed, but she couldn't find anyone. However, there definitely were signs that the bed had been used, and though it was only a vague sense, the atmosphere in the room felt a little soft. It wasn't the hard atmosphere normally devoid of people like the chapel. You could definitely tell that someone had spent the night in this room, but she could not be seen. In reality, neither Jessica nor Goda had met Beatrice. They'd only been told by those who had met her that she looked like the double of the character in the portrait. So they were doubtful what her face really looked like. However, Canon alone had met her. He understood what kind of being that witch was, and what kind of personality she had, so he knew that by forcing their way in here in search of her, it definitely wouldn't work out. She must be watching us bitterly flail about in vain from somewhere sneering at us. She's that kind of person. Because he was looking at things the way that Canon was first able to find it. The other two were concentrating on finding the shadow of a person, so they didn't notice. Near a water jug on the side table, there was a single sheet of letter paper. On the short message and a nearby fountain pen, which had probably been used to write it. Canon had already come to understand the witch. After finding the corpses, they'd been overcome by rage and barged in here, only to find no one. So of course the witch would mock them. You can't mock someone unless they know they're being mocked. So in other words, that's what this must be. Milady, there's something written here. Something written? What? Jessica dashed over violently and snatched the piece of paper away. She probably wasn't trying to be violent. She just couldn't control her strength right now. What the? Don't fuck with me! As soon as she read the message, Jessica went into a wild rage, crumpled up the paper, and threw it. Then she grabbed a light stand by the bedside and violently swung it around, mercilessly hitting the walls and furniture with it. The light bulbs all shattered at once. The fragments were scattered across the room. Milady, please calm down! You'll hurt yourself! Let go! Damn it! Damn it! Come out, JJ! How could you do that to Mom and Dad? You think you scare me? I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I'll beat you to death! So show yourself! I told you to let go of me! Damn it! This was written on the paper. Did you think I'd be that senile to just sit around here waiting for you to come barging in? You're way too inelegant for this intellectual night. I can only imagine what parents who raised you to be such a moron must have looked like. Oh, right, I saw them, and they look just as moronic as you. Now their bellies are full in the land of sweets. It was the sort of thing that the witch would write. It meant she predicted that one of the children who lost their parents would come running in here. If she's hiding somewhere in this room, she must be rolling around laughing about now. The witch was that kind of person. She sneered at people's misfortune and used it to stave off the boredom of 1,000 years. Hand it over! I'm telling you, you'll hurt yourself! I told you to let go! Damn it! Damn it! Ah! Goda snatched away the light stand that Jessica had been holding. After all, if she kept swinging around, she might end up smashing against something which would cause serious injury. To Goda's eyes, Jessica probably looked mad with rage, burning herself with the flames of anger. But Kanon's eyes saw it differently. Those were probably tears of sadness hidden by rage. So, when the light stand was taken from Jessica, and she started crying on the floor, scratching at the carpet almost as though she was groveling. Goda was surprised, but Kanon was not. Of course, she'd lost her means of crying by lashing out in rage. No! Dad! Considering she was the daughter of the Ushiramiya head family, she was in a very shabby state. She scratched at the carpet with her fingernails. Even her feet were scratching. Jessica cried very, very hard, because if she didn't, her rage would start building up again and swallowing her up. But over and over again, she remembered that humiliating message. I can only imagine what the parents who raised you to be such a moron must have looked like. Don't you call them morons! Both Dad and Mom are smart! Unlike me, they were really smart! Don't you call them morons! Take it back! Take it back! Oh, right! I saw them, and they look just as moronic as you. Now their bellies are full in the land of sweets. Damn it! I'll kill her! I'll kill her! I'll slice open her stomach and see how she likes it! As Jessica cried and screamed, servants watching her hurriedly ran up to her and rubbed her back, but that only provoked Jessica's wrath.
The hell? If you got time to do that, search for that bastard! Find them and bring him here! If you won't go, I will! And I'll kill them with my own hands! I'll slice open her stomach! Don't touch me! Damn it! Damn it!
Jessica got up unsteadily as her asthma continued. She went out into the hallway. "Milady, your medicine, quickly! I will call Dr. Nanjo." "Goda, would you leave this to me?" Canon had noticed. Goda, who was vastly separated from her in age, probably couldn't sense the tears in Jessica's heart. Canon, who had noticed, had to be the one to support her. "Canon, are you sure?" "I believe Milady needs some time to cry right now, considering that she saw her parents killed like that." "You're right." Goda also understood, and he knew that Jessica and Canon had shared a vague relationship with each other, so he understood everything and left it to Canon. "Very well, I will go back to Rosa. Please take care of Milady." "Yes, leave it to me." Canon's voice was frail, but he nodded firmly. After looking at his eyes, Goda nodded firmly as well. "Yes." Oh man. What the hell, Goda? But yes, exactly. Knowing who actually did it kind of it was very mean to do to Jessica in that sense. Oof. Goda was a veteran with many years behind him. He had seen a great number of people in his life, so he knew the vigorous sparkle that could be found in the eyes of those who possessed self-control. He had surely seen that in Kanon's eyes, so he would lead this to Kanon. When you think about it, maybe it was the first time Goda had ever trusted Kanon and relied on him for a job. Jessica, still suffering from her asthma, seemed to be headed toward her room, though she kept leaning against the wall. Kanon followed her wordlessly. Sorry. If she asked for a hand, he would have leapt forward and supported her. But until Jessica did ask for that, he chose to hide himself, watching over her from a distance where he could come to her rescue at any time. When people feel their hearts are about to explode from sadness and want to have someone by their sides, you can bet 10 billion of them would want to turn around and find someone at the place Kanon now stood, as he watched over Jessica from behind. Then finally, she doubled over in front of the door to the room. The asthma attack had stolen all of her strength. Her thoughts had gone quite hazy from lack of oxygen, making it impossible to even stand up again. But right then, Jessica didn't think she wanted someone to lend a hand. She still hadn't been able to overcome the flames of anger. Even if someone had offered her a hand with good intentions, Jessica would have wanted to tear her right off then. She knew how unfair that would be, so she definitely wouldn't ask for help until she overcame that fiery anger burning inside her. Jessica had probably lost even the willpower to call for help. But Kanon heard it. He definitely heard it. Kanon had heard that voiceless call for help, one shared by the miserable grievers world around. An endless scream that no one ever seems to hear. Kanon quietly knelt by Jessica's side and wordlessly offered her a shoulder. Though Jessica kept coughing painfully, she accepted it, unlocked the door to her room, and entered. "This way. I'll prepare your medicine right away." Jessica often said that when her asthma got serious enough, or hurt so bad it felt like she'd vomit up her whole stomach. Her face was pale and her ways wavered. What the hell? Let's try that again. Her face was pale and her gaze wavered, and yet the coughing continued. Even so, her sadness was probably even stronger. After having her sit on her bed, Canon took a bronchodilator from a cute little basket on the near side table and handed it to her. Jessica sometimes forgot to take her medicine with her. Whenever this seemed to have happened, Canon would take notice and secretly carry around the inhaler from the first aid kit in the servant room. But he hadn't done so today. He scolded himself, as though wondering how could he call himself furniture after failing to bring him with him on a day like this. Then he remembered the day when he used that word and somehow betrayed Jessica's feelings. It jarred Canon's heart, but he felt like it would be indiscreet to think about something like that considering how Jessica felt now, and he locked it up inside the depths of his heart. When she inhaled her medicine, Jessica's wild breathing calmed down bit by bit. She was finally able to regain her composure. But she lost too much strength and willpower to get up from the bed. Are you alright, milady? I'm alright. I'm all messed up over Mom and Dad. But after I cry a bit more, I'll be alright. Canon regretted his poor choice of words. Did he really say, "Are you alright?" to her? Was he really that clueless of the pain in her heart? This is what made him furniture. This is why he couldn't become human. I will be in the corridor. If you need anything, please call me immediately. Canon understood she still needed some time to cry alone. He told her to call him at any time, bowed, and tried to leave the room. Do you need something? Jessica had spoken up as though she wanted him to stop, so Canon had stopped. If she asks it, I'll do anything I can to help her. Right now, I'd become even a cane or a chair if it would help ease the pain in her heart. If by doing that, I could make up for the pain I dealt to her heart on that day. For a while, Jessica stared in Canon's eyes. It was as though her reason for stopping him was something she couldn't put into words. For a while, neither spoke. Jessica broke that silence with a small voice. I'm sorry. It's nothing. Could you tell Aunt Rosa that I want to be alone for a while? I won't let you be alone. Huh? I won't let you be alone. So, I will be in the corridor. Please call for me. At any time. For just an instant, it looked like some kind of hope had flitted into Jessica's eyes. But it was very faint and disappeared like the first snow on the surface of a river. Thanks. Let me cry alone. For just a bit. Yes. Excuse me. Canon bowed once again and closed the door. He thought those words would give her some courage, but now it felt as though he had actually hurt her for some reason. Why? He didn't know. Surely, that was because he was furniture. That was why he couldn't grasp human sadness even now. As Canon repeatedly questioned himself, he walked down the corridor. He felt like the window at the corridor's end was coolly calling to him. In the end, am I nothing more than furniture after all? It was still pouring outside, a dark gray world. Even on days like this, Shannon would surely see the ocean and know that it was blue. But to my eyes, even if it cleared up, I would only see gray. Until I can understand the blue of the ocean, I'll be nothing but furniture imitating a person. You really don't understand a woman's heart, do you? At times like that, you ought to silently remain by her side. That's why you're furniture. You.
There shouldn't have been any trace of human life in this corridor. It had been an empty corridor filled with frigid air. But those scoffing words approached Kanon from behind. When he turned around, he saw that witch. That witch who hadn't shown herself when Jessica had searched for her, with rage bordering on madness, who had left that sneering letter to toy with Jessica.
There are 3 ways to hurt a woman. Let me teach you them. One is to hurt them with a blade. Another is to hurt them in their heart. The last way is the most difficult and most effective way of hurting them. And yet it can hurt them without you even realizing it. Do you know what I mean?
How could I know?
I don't even want to know. It is to betray their expectations. No living being is more of a dreamer than a woman. They make up dreams on their own and end up hurting their own selves. A distant man like you hurts women the most. You couldn't understand. You have no idea how deeply you wounded Jessica. After all, you're furniture. I have no intention of playing along with your nonsense. Did you appear only to sneer at me? Don't be so full of yourself, furniture. You aren't even worth sneering at. Still, though, you may not be worth my time on your own. If the 2 of you are gathered, that's all I need. The pleasure that comes from laughing at the fates of young couples never tires me. What did you say? You don't mean... Milady is going to be... I need 2 who are close for the sacrifices of the second twilight. The 2 of you are truly convenient. Wait! Don't misunderstand. Milady and I don't have that kind of a relationship. We can't become the sacrifices of the second twilight. That's why you hurt Jessica. That's why you cannot become human. Then there should be no problem if you won't admit you have feelings for Jessica. I can accept that. But I will kill her. Why? You idiot! Isn't it obvious? It'll be fun to kill her and see your face twist in pain. Why else? Following the rules of the ceremony, 13 people will be sacrificed on my whims. However, there's no rule that says I can't kill more. If it amuses me, I can kill any number of people. So I will. Make me laugh as hard as you can on the furniture!
At that time, Kanon definitely heard Jessica scream. When he blinked and looked down the corridor, the witch who had supposedly been there so nonchalantly just a second ago was gone. At that moment, he was just standing there all alone in the corridor doing nothing. The person he wanted to protect was asking for help from afar away in that direction. It was obvious what he should do. It wasn't logical. It was an electric reflex, without a trace of hesitation or distraction. There was a person he wanted to protect, and she was asking for help. And at that moment, he genuinely wanted the person by her side to be with him. When he flew into Jessica's room, the scene that greeted his eyes was a bizarre one. The room had become a fantastical world, where the blizzard of gold-colored specks danced, almost as though gold leaf had been scattered inside of a snow globe. No, that's not it. I've seen this spectacle before. This isn't gold leaf. It's countless gold butterflies. Beatrice's minions! Jessica was surrounded by the countless butterflies, waving her hands around, trying frantically to drive them away.
Milady!
Kanon! Help! Kanon rushed toward Jessica and violently brushed the cloud of butterflies away. The butterflies, which were sickeningly despite their beauty, just surrounded Jessica's face, trying to crawl in through her mouth and nose. Jessica choked violently, almost as though the butterflies were triggering an asthma attack, mocking her. But when Kanon ran toward her, the butterflies stopped attacking and began to dance in an elegant rondo around the pair.
Kanon! Canon! It's okay. While there's still life in me, I won't let anyone lay a finger on you. Come out, Beatrice! Are you happy now? As he stood guard in front of Jessica, who was using her inhaler and seemed to be in pain, Canon yelled into the empty air. And when he did, the empty air did indeed laugh back, satisfied. Then she showed herself. It wasn't in response to Canon's demand. It was obviously because appearing in snare would bring them even more humiliation, and plus it was more fun. Now everything fits to the plot. Now you're carp on the chopping board. No, since we've caught a pair of you, should I call it a duck with green onions? You... Beatrice! Please stand back. I'll protect you, milady. When the princess and the knight come together, it's inevitable that a witch will appear. Yes. Why don't you show me how much power Kinzo's furniture can muster? She snapped her fingers with a piercing sound. When she did, a blizzard of gold butterflies was stirred up, and they began to form a small mountain as they whirled around in a circle. It was just like the swirling of a cold, wintry wind that builds up on a mountain of leaves. From that mound of gold, a hand sprouted, and it appeared, as though resin of the world below was crawling up from beneath the ground. What is this? What the hell is this? Oops, sorry, this is Jessica's line, but since I messed up, Jessica hasn't accumulated enough points in order to level up that skill yet. Anyway, what is this? What the hell is this? Jessica couldn't comprehend what she was seeing right now. Her mouth kept flapping open and closed. It was the bite of wisdom, and seeing those trying to understand something incomprehensible. That thing crawling up was probably an attendant who served the witch. It appeared to be wearing a uniform suitable for the one who served. But its face was wrong. It looked strange. It was covered with pitch black hair, breathed rotten breath. Its eyes were filled with the same strange subterranean glow as lava. And to symbolize its non-human status, it had 2 horns. It was the figure of a goat-faced attendant who served the witch. By now, Jessica had no idea what she should say. All this happening in front of her couldn't be explained with common sense. She couldn't do anything except open and close her mouth. Jessica hadn't realized. She hadn't realized this island had already been cut off from the rules of our world. But there were certain things that she could understand. This goat attendant served the witch. It was after her life. Apparently, the witch had already given it an order. She was looking at Canon with an expectant gaze. She looked at him with an expectant and therefore challenging gaze, as though asking him how he intended to protect this maiden. Though the attendant had looked especially bestial when crawling to its feet, you could see in the way it carried itself that it possessed more than enough grace to be worthy of serving the Golden Witch. And you could tell it was overflowing with the joy of verdure, wanting to meet its master's expectations. Well then, why don't you show me? Let's see the power of Kinzo's furniture. This time, don't get the wrong idea, okay? Don't forget your furniture, guy. If you try to continue playing the human even now, this won't be solved by your death alone. The goat attendant made what seemed to be a silent, respectful bow. Was it directed at its master, or was it offered to Canon, its opponent? Then on the attendant's hand, a blade of wicked malice appeared. What the hell is that? Jessica had been unable to understand what was happening in front of her eyes for a while now. All she understood was that this glow in front of her existed for the purpose of ending her life, and right now that was enough. Canon spoke quietly to Jessica, who was hiding behind his back. Milady, please stay back against the wall. Never let your back leave the wall. What?
It's only right for the maiden to obediently hide behind the great knight's back. I do hope you enjoy the pleasure of having your life protected by a man. Now, Kano, let's have a look at your blade.
Oh, yes. Let's see, yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh! Version of Umineko. And now, let's begin.
Beautiful. At least when it comes to giving birth to furniture, Kinzo mightn't reach even as far as my feet.
A thing like this can't even be used to trim the roses. Canon, what? I didn't want to show you.
So you've taken it out. How does it feel to expose your subhumanity in front of a girl you care for?
Be silent.
So you'll act composed even though you're really burning with wrath. Yes, they do say that truly hot flames burn a cool blue. Is that how you are now?
There's no way I can kill you with my power. You are the moon. I could never smash the moon by throwing a rock. However, in order to manifest yourself, you had to reflect your image off the surface of the water. If you throw a rock at the surface of the water, you might be able to disturb the moon's image for some time. But that doesn't mean the moon has been smashed. So, until this life of mine is over, I'll keep on striking your reflection.
I like it, Kano. Begin, furniture!
Kaiba can do a lot of things. I think he can deflect bullets with his cards.
Huh. What a beautiful curve.
The witch's words of admiration broke the silence, and for just an instant, they broke Jessica's paralysis. Am I dreaming?
Come, furniture of the witch. I'll beat you down to the hell you came from.
Oh man. Oh, just imagine that one scene in the rose garden between those two. And then he's added to it. Yeah. A strand of red had been left on Kanon's cheek. I hope I guessed right. The witch saw this and grinned broadly.
Feel free to mutter excuses of how your instincts still haven't quite returned yet.
Kanon, stay strong! It's okay. I won't die just yet. Alright, I guessed right. The curve drawn by the goat's attendant blade drew a large arc in empty space. Kanon wasn't there. He was behind it. Go back and await your master's return. Die. Ah yeah. If this battle of drawing sparkling curves was chess, then Kanon coming from behind was check. And press and press and press and press. Use 7 moves and make it mate. Perhaps the goat attendant hadn't even granted the ability to go into death throes. As its knees buckled and it fell over, it broke into a bunch of gold butterflies with a pop. So there was no sound of it hitting the ground. Even though it was unable to understand this battle, would surely realize that Kanon had been magnificent.
So it couldn't win against a handmade piece. It seems you aren't quite that pathetic.
You're next, Beatrice! The instant Canon's blade sliced diagonally through the witch's form like a knife through butter, she turned gold and burst. She scattered into several thousand golden butterflies, and for just an instant, the room was filled with the color of twilight. It was just as Canon himself had said. Slicing Beatrice was the same as slicing the surface of the water where the moon was reflected. The witch's form with an ordinary expression on its face, as though she had been here the whole time, was right behind Canon.
You've proved a quite entertaining show. Out of respect for that, I thought about letting you off the hook, but your rudeness now has made me change my mind. Don't lie! I won't let you kill Milady! Even if that's impossible, I won't let you kill her while I still live! You can't even do that much. Do not speak, furniture. Be silent, furniture. Know your place, furniture!
Canon isn't furniture!
Huh. And what makes you think that?
I don't need a reason! Canon is Canon! No, his real name's different, but a name doesn't make him furniture. Canon has his own way of living. That's a noble thing, and it's something he gets to decide for himself. You say he can't have an opinion because he's furniture, that he can't live his own life because he's furniture? That's wrong!
Milady, you mustn't provoke her.
No, I've got to make this clear. Canon isn't furniture. He's human. Why? Canon rushed to save me of his own free will, and he stood in the path of a fearsome witch like you. He has so many chances to just let me go, but he didn't. Self-sacrifice is part of the noble spirit that only humans have. That means Canon's human. So take it back. Don't you call Canon furniture again!
Milady. Be silent, human. Let's end this quickly, since it's still just the second twilight after all. Now, I shall sacrifice the two who are close, who have acknowledged each other's dignity. Well then, arise, forgive the sin, one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, lust.
The witch summoned her furniture with a mixture of laughter and anger on her face.
Asmodeus of Lust, right here.
I've had enough of this farce. Quickly execute the second twilight. Don't keep me waiting, got it?
As you command.
Another weirdo shown up. It took Canon less than an instant to understand. That goat face from a second ago had been nothing more than a pawn to the witch. However, this newly summoned furniture was a game piece of a vastly different value.
Wow, I must be lucky to be given such wonderful prey. You scared? How cute!
Come, furniture of the witch. I won't be killed by you.
You're acting pretty smart for a dunce who can't even follow me with his eyes. Here I go, Kay. Hey, what do you want it? Where do you want me to pierce you? Answer me, cutie. I'll pierce you good wherever you want. Come on, answer me, cutie.
Don't call me cute.
Here I go, you dunce. Come on, try and follow me, you blind idiot.
Oh.
Imagine Yu-Gi-Oh! Umineko cards. Someone should make that. Maybe me, but I'm not that into Yu-Gi-Oh! I only watch the anime.
Milady.
Yeah, she did. I couldn't follow with my eyes, but my guess was spot on. Serves you right. Canon's back had been the target, but Jessica had predicted it. She predicted the witch's target would be the complete opposite of fair and honest, his back. But she had no way to block it. She hadn't planned on it being some kind of act of self-sacrifice. She just couldn't think of any other way to protect Canon's back. so she could do nothing but block it with her own back. The furniture of the witch, which had changed its form into a demon's stake, was buried deep into Jessica's back. It was obviously a fatal wound that would reach as far as her lungs. When she saw this, the witch let out a loud, evil laugh, because it had hit where the witch had predicted. Everything was as the witch predicted.
What's wrong, Kano? Milady Jessica just got killed, but you still live, didn't she? Yes, that's it. That's the face, that look on your face that I wanted to see. How truly enjoyable. That's enough. Die, make me laugh. Come, arise, forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory. Wrath.
Oh yes, when she finally accumulates points enough to level up those skills. Saying of Wrath, right here.
This prey is yours. Eat him up right now and close the curtain on his stage. If you were a human, I'd say it's time for you to step down. But since you're furniture, maybe I should say it's time for the stage manager to carry you behind the stage.
I'm not furniture anymore. I won't doubt that again. Oh, what's this? You want to be killed by me again? Your chest. It's so warm and it feels so good to pierce it. Come on, let me have another taste, okay? Won't you make me feel really good with the hot, fresh blood in that warm chest of yours? There was no way to block it. The sound of a woodpecker filled the entire room. And before he could blink, it was already right in the center of his chest. They definitely are. When you take a piece in chess, the rules say it's impossible for your opponent's piece to defend itself. So this was obviously a result, in accordance with the rules. Kano landed on his knees, and he apologized. Not to the witch, and not to Milady. He apologized to Jessica. I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you. Don't worry about it. You were really cool. Kano finally fell over. He landed next to Jessica. The two lay there like the constellation Gemini. You know, Kano, you aren't furniture anymore. Yes, I was too late in realizing that. I wanted to ask you what your real name was. My real name is... In his last moments, Kano wanted to tell her his real name, but Jessica had already fallen into a sleep from which she would never wake. So Kano's real name, which he had protected until today, in the end, he couldn't tell to Jessica. I became human. Those were the last words Kano left behind.
Don't make me laugh, furniture. Even after 100 years, furniture will still be furniture. Have you ever heard of anyone stupid enough to dig a grave for their furniture when they throw it away? You smash furniture to pieces and make firewood so that all that's left is ashes. That's how it is. Furniture gets no tombstone. It seems you believe death means an end to your humiliation. But that's naive. I'll show you what it really means to disgrace the dead.
after taking a puff from her pipe, the witch breathed the smoke at Kanon's corpse. When she did, Kanon's corpse slowly floated up into the air and disappeared as though it had been eaten by a mouth in empty space. The witch played dirty until the very end. The corpses of the pair who managed to understand each other in the end were not even permitted to be close. If someone had been watching, they would probably say mournfully, "So this is what you meant by disgracing the dead." However, Beatrice was far crueler than that. The reason for that would soon become apparent. Oh yes, but it hasn't twisted in fantasy yet, so she can't show up yet. It's just not her time. But yeah, Gap is pretty cool. At least she gets very little scenes in like the Valentine scenes. I don't think some of the extra tip scenes are too spoilery. It's just kind of like fun. All right. Yeah, it's too bad. It would be totally cool if she could have more like roles. I mean, she kind of does. Wait, did I save it? Okay. Thank God it tells me the date, because I forget really easily with numbers. Because, oof. Alright. Let's see. Oh, right. Okay, let's read these. Ushirimiya Kraus. His corpse was found in the chapel. The direct cause of death is unknown, but it seems his stomach was cut open and his intestines pulled out after his death. On top of that, sweets and candies were packed into his stomach. Welcome, Maria. Happy Halloween. That would be cool. Ushirimiya Natsuhi. Her corpse was found in the chapel. The direct cause of death is unknown, but it seems her stomach was cut open and her intestines pulled out after her death. On top of that, sweets and candies were packed into her stomach. Didn't I tell you? Stomachs are packed full of candy. Okay, all these are the same, so I'm not reading those parts. Everyone has a stomach filled with sweet dreams. Why would there be anything filthy inside someone's stomach? This is why we want to be sweet and innocent as candy. And so I give you the land of dreams. Happy Halloween. Alright. And now we haven't had theirs yet. Alright. And now we can finally say goodnight.